Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today is composer, teacher, performer, rock and tour, Michael Conrad. Mike, how are you?
Hey Dennis, doing great. You?
Uh, Doing great. At the time we're taping this, it's in the middle of the big snowstorm. So we're both at home and not going out, but fingers crossed that on the 21st, when the Iowa Jazz Composers Orchestra is in concert at the Coralville Center, uh, the roads will be fine, right?
Yes, here's hoping. I've cooled down from this morning a little bit. I had snowblower issues and I there's no rage like snowblower not starting rage.
Well, as I said, the Jazz Composers Orchestra going to be in concert coming up on the 21st, and on KCCK, of course, we heard the orchestra at Jazz Under the Stars uh, just this past summer. A little bit of a different environment
Mhm.
than Knoll Ridge Park. So, what has the orchestra been up to in the meantime between then and now? Any new charts? What's been the activity?
Yeah, we've got some new music. We performed in November at Noche in Des Moines, and that was a great show. Um, but I finished a commission from the Airmen of Note, the United States Air Force Band. Um, I
Because now you're burying the lead because you won a giant contest, a nationwide contest to do that.
Yes, the 2023 Sammy Nestico Award, and the award carries with it a follow-up commission. So the band says, thank you for submitting your piece. We like your writing, and we'd like you to write something new for us. So that piece will be. It's only been played by one other band so far, and that's the Airmen of Note. So this will be like the Iowa premiere of that. It's called Big Bad Wolf, and I'm really excited to hear the band play it. We don't get to rehearse, so the first time I'll hear them do it is on the day of the concert.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Of course, with the musicians in this band reading it down together in concert for the first time, not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean it's not an easy piece when you're asked to write for the Airmen of Note, like one of the best jazz ensembles in the world. You try to take advantage of what they're capable of. So I threw some stuff at them, but also in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the band that I love to write for right here in Iowa. So I'm confident that it'll work well for the group. Uh, and as I've said before to you, this everyone in this band is they're such great musicians and they also do their homework. So they come prepared and ready to go. So we get a quick sound check, we throw it together. And I personally sort of enjoy that feeling of a little bit of risk involved, a little bit of, kind of the tightrope act of can we pull this off? So
Right. Working without a net.
that's right.
Have you heard what was the reception of the piece with the Airman of Note?
Yeah, the band was really positive about it. The main person I'd been in touch with, the musical director, they were going to do it at a home concert at some point in 2024, but they read it down in rehearsal, and he said, "Wow, this is really unlike anything else we have," and he thought it'd be a fun piece for them to take on their tour. They did a tour to the southwestern United States, so they were in Texas and New Mexico, and so they brought the piece along on that tour and played at some high schools and things like that. So they shared with me a live recording from one of those high schools, and the band sounds great. It's a live, not super high audio quality, but the performance is really exciting. They crank the tempo up a little bit, and the lead trumpet player takes some liberties. So it's what you might expect from the Airmen of Note. High octane.
That had to pretty much put you on cloud nine, maybe almost as much as winning the award, having them react so positively and like the piece so much that they didn't want to wait. They wanted to start playing it right now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's as a composer, that's what you want is for people to want to play your music, or at least for me, that's really important to me. I want it to not only hopefully be stuff that's fun to listen to, but really fun to play as well. And I actually have a couple of friends in the group, some Eastman alums, the bassist and the piano player. So to be able to think about them personally as I was putting the piece together, and knew I wanted to include piano solo because Chris Ziemba is such an amazing soloist in that group. that was kind of a fun added personal connection there.
What else will be on the program?
So we're doing some, some of the IJCO greatest hits, but besides that new piece, Big Bad Wolf, which will feature me and Simon Harding on Barry sax, we're doing a piece of John Rapson's that the band has never played before. I think John was such a amazing creative and prolific writer, and I see it as, maybe partially our responsibility to sort of carry the torch of his music. I just really enjoy all of his music, and it's so interesting and so uniquely him. And this is a piece called Night Sky and Turquoise Sea. It's something that he wrote for his wife Beth, and I think it'll be really special to do it in Coralville, the local connection.
In his home, in his home territory.
That's right. So
yeah,
I'm really excited about that.
We miss John so much, but it's really cool that you are finding ways to keep his music alive.
Yeah, he was. I mean, when I formed this group, he was one of the first people I reached out to, and he was just so excited about the project and about the possibilities. So, I often think of him as I'm planning the next thing, and hear his voice in my head.
John and Bob Washut, who was your teacher at the University of Northern Iowa. Certainly not by any means the first jazz composers to call Iowa home, but really, they're really the two, I think, who kind of created this landscape that has provided such fertile ground. See what I did there, Mr. Fertile Soil Suite? For new jazz composers to come along.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, through their students, who they've inspired and taught, who are now generating a bunch of new music. But I think, mainly by leading by example. There are two guys who throughout their careers were always generating new music and always coming up with new creative things. And for younger musicians to see that is really inspiring. It makes us want to follow that example. I know that was true for me, for both of them. I actually met John Rapson before I met Bob Washut as a very young student at the University of Iowa. I think they called it all-state music camp in the summer of maybe like my 6th or 7th grade year or something like that. I could barely play the trombone. But he was such an important early mentor to me and turned me on to some really great music, some really great recordings that I don't think I would have found otherwise, that to this day have had a big impact on the way that I think about music.
Well, and now in your job at the University of Northern Iowa, that's now your role, is teaching the next generation of jazz composers. So, obviously, John and Bob and Chris Mertz, who, whose compositions are in the band and who also plays in the Jazz Composers Orchestra, were a huge influence for you. What do you take from that? And also, what do you do that's uniquely Mike Conrad when you are working with your jazz composition students?
Well, to be honest, I take quite a bit from them, but I'm sure there's some things that I've developed of my own along the way as well. And after leaving Iowa and having these experiences, studying with Bill Dobbins at Eastman, I take a little bit from Bill as well, and from what I learned in Colorado. And one of the things I learned not only from my teachers in those spots was just forming groups and what it takes to kind of put a band together, a large ensemble, and to organize a set of music, and just the kind of nuts and bolts of making that stuff happen. I got some experience doing that with Colossus, which had its origin story in Rochester, and then the All Angles Orchestra in Greeley, Colorado. So when I came back here and I had this idea to start the Iowa Jazz Composers Orchestra, I had learned some things about just the making it all happen, the art of the email, right? Or how to communicate with the band in an efficient way and make their job as easy as possible, sharing the music and the recordings with them well in advance, so they can come so well prepared as they always do. The it's not explicitly part of our mission in the band to, to be educational, but so many of us are educators in the group. And I think that it just sort of is in our nature to want to mentor younger musicians. And that's why I'm always so excited when we can get some students involved. And, we have a student discount for ticket pricing for this upcoming concert. And we have an opening act, which is a student band from Iowa City High School, directed by Aaron Otmar. So that's really exciting, because I think for students of that age to kind of see these professionals up close and get to witness what they're doing and hopefully be a little inspired by that. That it's my hope that we have some positive impact on kind of the future of jazz music in the state and jazz composition.
And it's that same thing you just talked about leading by example. Here is a group of musicians who are, working hard, performing, playing in an ensemble, original compositions. It's just the whole complete package. The concert is the Iowa Jazz Composers Orchestra, coming up Sunday, January 21st at the Coralville Center for the Performing Arts. It's a midday concert, a matinee, 2 p.m., correct?
That's right.
And tickets are available probably at the door, but also through the Coralville Arts Center website, which is coralvillearts.org, I believe.
That's right. And if you your calendar and notice that the Iowa women's team is playing that day against Ohio State, have no fear. They play at noon, and then our concert's right after. So
yes. Thank goodness for that.
Man, I've become a huge fan, and I know pretty much all of us have caught the Caitlin Clark bug, but come see the Caitlin Clark of jazz, Robert Espy, play with the IJCO.
There you go. Yeah, there's a show title right there, the Caitlin Clark of jazz. Hey, before we go, this is my time of year when I talk to Mike Conrad a lot, because just a couple of days after this concert, you'll be working with the Corridor Jazz Project, and you're up with Marion High School this year.
Yeah, that's right. Excited about that.
And you're doing one of your own arrangements of a Herbie Hancock tune, correct?
Yeah, man, I don't know how you keep all that straight. How many different high schools are involved with that thing?
Well, it's possible I was just working on putting that together just a little while ago.
Sure.
But it's
called Driftin', based on a Tamir Hendelman arrangement. Tamir, great piano player in LA, had me write a big band chart for him. And I've ended up using it myself for guest artist things over the years a little bit. And it seemed to, Logan Vanderweel said it would work well for the band. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, well, thanks as always for participating in that. You are perennially I think you're 6 or 7 years in a row since you came back from Colorado. You're a perennial first choice guest, and it's always great to have you involved. And I really enjoy watching you work with the students.
Oh, thanks. I love doing it every year, and hopefully I can keep the streak going.
Again, it's the Iowa Jazz Composers Orchestra in concert, Coralville Center for the Performing Arts. Mike, if somebody wants to just, in addition to coming to the concert, just know a little bit more about the band, how do they connect with you or read about you online?
Yeah, we've got a website, iowajazzcomposersorchestra.com, and you can read a little more about the band there, see some videos of our performances, and I always put our upcoming gigs there as well. The next one after this one will be April in Davenport. And we only play every few months or so. So I always tell people, if you see that we're playing anywhere near you, please try to come out, because it might be a long time before we're playing in your area again. So
right. A lot of moving parts, getting a big band together.
Yeah, that's right. So take advantage and come check us out on the 21st.
Again, tickets for the Coralville show at coralvillearts.org. Mike, good luck with it, and thanks again for joining me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You can hear the Culture Crawl live on the radio most weekdays at 10:30, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture, or using your favorite podcast app. Our video producer is Lydia Kilgore. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.